Welcome to the Wave Strength. Innovative solutions for a secure retirement. Presented by Pacific Life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Wave Strength podcast series. I'm your host, Jim Breen, Head of Marketing with Pacific Life's Institutional Division. I'm very excited to be here today in studio with two very special guests. We have Ahmet, Kamil from Pacific Life and Franklin Templeton's Katie Campbell. Ahmet, Katie, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's great to be here. Thanks, Jim.
Absolutely. And I got to say, thank you so much for coming all the way out from the East Coast. I think both of you coming from Jersey or New York.
That's right. Yeah, it's a
New
trek.
Jersey for me.
Fellow East Coasters.
You came out here to the beautiful Southern California weather. It's probably getting a little chilly out there on the East Coast right now, but
yeah, we'll take the California sunshine for sure.
Yeah.
You just missed it. We just got out of a big rainstorm, so it's great. So nice for you both to come out and make the trek out here to have this important conversation today, and one that I think is of great importance, especially in the financial industry. And that is the importance of lifetime income and advantages of personalization. So before we kind of get into the deep dive on that topic, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background. So Ahmet, could you maybe share with us a little bit about your background?
Absolutely, Jim. So here at Pacific Life, I focus on product and partnerships. It's creating these great solutions that we deliver in this retirement space and forming the right partnerships where we can to make sure that we are able to deploy those solutions.
Excellent. And Katie, your role at Franklin Templeton, perhaps you can share a little bit about your background.
Yeah, no. So I've been at Franklin Templeton for a little while now and heading up our U.S. product strategy team, and really have spent a good number of years of my career focused on retirement income solutions and some of the products that we can bring to bear there.
Excellent. So we have the right people here in the room with us to talk about this conversation today. So as I mentioned, the importance of lifetime income and advantages of personalization. Now, what I'd like to do, though, before we dive deep into that topic, is talk to something that's obviously very important, which is the need for lifetime income solutions in our country right now. I mean, that's huge. It's on everybody's mind, and what we want to do is make that even a larger conversation. And so, Matt, maybe you can start things off and share with our audience, what is Pacific Life doing? What are we doing even as an industry to focus on lifetime income solutions?
Absolutely, Jim. So as an industry, I think we've done a great job up until this point. We've come a long way in helping folks realize the importance of accumulation and participating in these retirement plans. But there is a problem on the horizon, or a problem, I should say, not on the horizon that we're currently in, which is once we get those participants to the point in which they're ready to retire, how do we put them in a position where they're never going to run out of assets? They have confidence that when they, wake up, that paycheck in retirement is going to keep on coming. What we do at Pacific Life is focus on developing the solutions that help guarantee that income continues as the participants are, as the individual is in their retirement phase of their life.
Yeah, and that's important. Katie, maybe share your thoughts on that if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think, I would add to what Ahmet has said is, at Franklin Templeton, we do a Voice of the American Worker survey.
A very popular survey,
very
3 years old now, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
Maybe can you shed a little light on that survey for those that may not be aware of that survey?
Yeah, so we partner with Harris Poll on the survey, and we kind of take a good cross-section of the American workers and just trying to understand what they're looking for out of their employers. And one of the findings out of that survey from 2021 is that 95% of respondents really are looking for their employer to provide some level of income out of their retirement savings. And what's, I think, more interesting is only about 2% of employers currently offer even a guaranteed solution behind that. So it's definitely a gap that, as an industry, I think we're looking to solve for.
Real good findings in that survey. And I'd also like to encourage our listeners and our viewers, you can just Google Voice of the American Worker Survey, Franklin Templeton, and it'll come right up. But a lot of great information, a lot of great details in that survey. But shifting gears a little bit, did you have a follow-up? It sounded like
I was going to say, I really love that survey. Yeah. And just by virtue of its name, it is exactly what it says it is. Like, it's the voice of the American worker, the individual who just goes to work every day and does the right thing, and they just need a little bit of help getting them to and through that finish line. And I think the survey touches really greatly on those points.
Yeah, and a little bit of help is a great way to put it. We for this series of content, we were in Chicago and then also here on the West Coast, capturing some interviews on the street with what folks have to say about retirement. And that is one of the things that we heard was, I don't have a deep understanding or any kind of clear guidance, and I just need that little push. I just need a little bit of help because I know I need it. I'm at a point now in my life where I know it's coming down the road. Here retirement is. I can see it, and I just need to know a little bit about how I can be prepared and be comfortable with the idea of retirement. And I think a lot of that comes to education. So let's change gears a little bit and let's talk about education as it pertains to lifetime income, Ahmet.
Absolutely. Education is probably the most important piece of this puzzle, right? We expect folks to make what is arguably the biggest financial decision of their lives, and do it on their own. We get them to retirement, and we wave to them and say, good luck. So we're trying to shift that mindset and start engaging with folks earlier on, because the more education they have, the better informed they're going to be to make those decisions and make the right decisions when the time comes.
Yeah, and maybe just adding to that, I think it's really about continuing to stay engaged as individuals start to move into that part of their retirement journey. So early on, education as well as continuing to check in and stay engaged with them as they're having to make those decisions throughout their retirement journey.
Yeah, and I think that education is so key, and doing it in a way to where it can connect with the participant, right? Not just throwing everything in the kitchen sink out there. Here's the product, here's the solution, and here is all the disclosure and legal that you need to read to understand it. What can we do to really walk them through the process? I think I've heard you mention before that in our life, we're programmed at an early age to know that we need car insurance. We're supposed to have, renter's insurance, homeowner, but we don't think, in retirement, we need something that's going to ensure our well-being in retirement.
Yeah, that's a great parallel to draw for folks. So I like to compare the products that we're developing to the products that we engage with on a daily basis. Our auto insurance, like you mentioned, Jim, our home insurance, even our life insurance. These are all insurance products that we hope to never really have to use. Like, I don't want my home to burn down or my car to crash.
Neither do I.
Right.
Yeah.
But we pay for these things because we know that if something were to happen, that we're covered, right? And we're made whole. On the opposite end of the spectrum, when we think about retirement, that is indeed a solution that you do want to use, right? So having some sort of guarantee or insurance in place to make sure that, hey, if everything comes tumbling down and the markets crash and you're looking to retire at the wrong time, you have that little bit of an element of protection that you can lean on.
Yeah, and I think maybe adding to that, it's interesting, right, that most people are seeing the age of sort of DB plans start to be lower and lower offered from an employer's perspective. There's that need for having still that level of income stream and for some people guaranteed income stream to continue feeling secure in their retirement journey. So there's definitely, from an industry standpoint, this growing gap that again, I think we have a duty as an industry to try to solve for.
What I'd like to do now is move things to personalization. Let's talk a little bit about personalization. So, Katie, this is to you. What do we see as it pertains to personalization, the future of personalization, focusing on those participants, perhaps from a perspective of new technology?
Yeah, and maybe not new technology. I mean, the technology is there today,
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
And there's companies out there that the consumer, the common consumer, is very familiar with, where they're creating a very personalized experience for those consumers. So why shouldn't we, as a financial industry, be leveraging that same type of technology to solve for personalized retirement outcomes? There's a need to do it. People don't spend the same in retirement. Not everybody retires at age 65. Not everybody has the same health care needs in retirement. So there's definite need to have these type of personalized outcomes for individuals.
Absolutely. And I think I've heard you mention in a meeting before with the three of us that, in the example you gave, Netflix, Amazon, et cetera, they use those predictive analytics, right, to serve content to the person visiting the site.
Right.
Oh, because you did this last time, you may be interested in XYZ. Why can't we apply that to the insurance industry, Matt?
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with that.
Yeah.
You know, if my Netflix account could tell me, hey, maybe you should watch this because you've been watching this, or my Amazon account could say, hey, maybe you should buy this because you've bought this in the past. There is no reason why we as an industry should not be able to serve our participants in a manner that affords them that same customization and personalization.
And it's funny too, because when you go into Amazon, and I mean, I have 4 kids, so we've just changed completely in the last 5 years the way we purchase things for our children. We don't have to go to the store anymore, right? We just get it on Amazon, and you go on Amazon and we order so much stuff. You may want this. How did they know I needed that? It's a little creepy, but we're fine with that. Yeah, thanks Amazon. You saved me some search time there.
Right.
I just click it. And so, same with Netflix, as you mentioned, but if we're okay with it in those areas, we should want
I
that
mean,
from
they
an
even know
insurance
what
perspective.
size you should be ordering, which I don't know if I always agree with, by the way. But
Yeah.
that's like neither
That's why
here nor
my
there.
pants are so short. That's why these pants are so short. And they didn't send me the socks, so that's why I'm on no socks today. But you're right. You're absolutely right. I think technology, even existing technology, I mentioned new earlier, but even existing technology that's been there for some time, and we use it in all of us in our daily lives. It's something that it would be an easy way, an easy transformation, and to bring these products and solutions to these participants in a way that connects with them on a day-to-day level. Let's talk a little bit about target dates. So, Katie, can you share your thoughts on that for me, please?
Look, I think target dates have been a great solution for the marketplace. They were the next gen from allocation type solutions, but they do have kind of some shortcomings where they're assuming, from a retirement standpoint, at the point that you go to retire, that everybody retires at a common age of 65, which we just know from the Voice of the American Workers studies, right, that's not the case. Many people retire earlier, later, they have a second job, they have a greater household income. As I said earlier, they have different healthcare needs, different other needs in retirement. And so while those have been definitely continuing to be a really solid solution for retirement accumulation, we're now at this point where we have the ability to provide personalized outcomes. And again, why shouldn't we be doing that as an industry?
Ahmet, your thoughts on that?
I agree. I think as we look at the evolution of retirement, coming from, as Katie mentioned, where target dates started and where we are now, I think they're a great solution, but I think we're at a point in time where we're not at a one-size-fits-all approach. And I think we could leverage some learnings that we've had as an industry over the last 15 years or so to apply that personalized approach within the construct of a target date or some sort of allocation to make sure that it's specified to you as an individual and make sure we're addressing your needs, not the needs of a broader group.
The needs of a broader, the needs of that participant, and a good segue into moving forward. What's next? I think there's an interesting shift and an interesting movement with a lot of these financial institutions to work together to try and find a solution, right, for lifetime income. Let's talk a little bit about the future, next steps. What do you see in the retirement landscape moving forward?
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Yeah, go for it.
So, I think it's an extension of my prior comments, right? As we look at the evolution of retirement, these solutions or all the players that are involved in creating these solutions used to work in silos, right? They thought that they could kind of just solve these issues, on their own. We've come to realize over the course of the last decade that, we need partnerships. We need firms that have specializations. We as an insurance company are really good at being able to provide these guaranteed products to our individuals. We look to partners like technology firms and asset managers to help us with their expertise. So I think the future is us all working together in more of an ecosystem approach, I'll call it, as opposed to head down siloed approach.
Yeah, I mean, I'd throw out again back to the technology standpoint, just finding the right technology partners to start to bring these type of solutions to the masses and make personalization an affordable and available solution that we can bring to the American worker. And so I think that's something, again, we're there. We should be able to do this. And so it's just a matter of finding the right partners in this ecosystem to bring that to bear.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a very interesting conversation and an excellent opportunity to sit down with both Katie and Ahmet. Thank you very much for joining us on today's episode of the podcast.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great.
Absolutely. Thank you. And to our listeners, I want to thank you for taking time to be with us today. And I want to encourage you to head over to YouTube or Spotify and Audible, search The Wave Strength, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay current with new content. Thanks for joining us and have a great day, everyone.
This has been another episode of The Wave Strength, presented by Pacific Life. Don't forget to catch us on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Although this podcast is presented by Pacific Life, the opinions and views expressed are those of the hosts and participants and do not necessarily reflect Pacific Life's views on any of the topics discussed. Pacific Life is a product provider. It is not a fiduciary and therefore does not give advice or make recommendations regarding insurance or investment products. Pacific Life, its affiliates, its distributors, and respective representatives do not provide any employer-sponsored qualified plan administrative services or impartial advice about investments, and do not act in a fiduciary capacity for any plan. Pacific Life refers to Pacific Life Insurance Company and its affiliates, including Pacific Life and Annuity Company. Insurance products can be issued in all states except New York by Pacific Life Insurance Company or Pacific Life and Annuity Company. In New York, insurance products are only issued by Pacific Life and Annuity Company. Product availability and features may vary by state. Each insurance company is solely responsible for the financial obligations accruing under the products it issues. Guest speakers are solely responsible for the content of their presentations and do not necessarily represent the opinions of Pacific Life and its affiliates. The views expressed in this presentation are those of the authors and presenters. They are subject to change at any time. All guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability and financial strength of the issuing insurance company. This presentation discusses products which have not been fully developed or filed for approval. Features and product names are subject to regulatory approval. Contract will be issued by Pacific Life Insurance Company, PLIC, which is not authorized in New York and cannot cover any participant that lives in New York. Subject to further internal review and regulatory approval, any New York participants would be covered by a contract issued by Pacific Life and Annuity Company. This information has been provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice or a recommendation. The product discussed is proposed and subject to change. All investments involve risk. There is no assurance that the employment of this strategy will result in future targets being met. Prospective investors should consult a financial professional in order to determine whether an investment product is appropriate for their particular circumstances. Franklin Templeton and Pacific Life are unaffiliated companies. This podcast was recorded on October 17th, 2022.
Thanks for joining us on today's show. We'd love to hear from you. Join the conversation below and leave a comment on your thoughts on what the industry can do better for participants as it pertains to lifetime income solutions. And if you'd like more interesting content, click one of these links over here.